Welcome to the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. This is Lily. I'm here with Jacob today. And for our episode today, we are on episode 157. It's actually an interview that I did with Ryan, who's a repeat guest. And just a quick trigger warning before you listen to this episode, it does mention suicide and thoughts of suicide. We do mention the hotline and resources afterwards, but just a little trigger warning for that. So thank you for your interest in this podcast. We are always coming up with new topics and new ideas to talk about. And today we're going to talk about some cross addictions that tend to happen with the kratom. Jacob and I are going to talk about cannabis, which is something that both of us had experience with. So that'll be our little topic for today. And then we'll get on to the main interview. Hello, Jacob.
Hello, Lily. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Yeah, I bet we might have had some different experiences with cannabis post kratom usage. Mine was interesting. So I was always like a take it or leave it person with cannabis. It was never like my drug of choice, but I also tended to like it when I was younger. I don't know. For some reason, when I quit kratom, I think I've used cannabis 3 times in the last 2+ years. Once was like a vape, and then I had some edibles. I tried some when I hurt my shoulder not too long ago, and I didn't like it. And I tried some probably a year ago, and I don't know. I don't even think it. I think didn't take it off. But so my story's been like very interesting. Like it just, I didn't even really feel the desire to use it anymore. I don't know if that's just age or just being sick of addiction and substances or what it was. But for me, it was very interesting because before, when I was using kratom, I was probably smoking quite a bit, not daily, but definitely weekly, more than once a week. And then even before that, when I was drinking and stuff, I went through periods where I'd use it more frequently, but it was always there. But I don't know, something changed post kratom. I have this, I don't know, if you put alcohol or stimulants, or I don't even really like stimulants, but if you gave me a bag of cocaine, I'd do the whole thing. And I'd probably go get another one, even though I don't
Oh
like
my
it.
God.
I don't know why. But anyways, like stuff like that was always like problematic, but cannabis not so much. I don't know why.
Interesting. I had basically the opposite experience.
Huh. See?
We're the yin and yang here. This is actually really helpful.
Huh.
So, from my side of things, I had quit alcohol first. Kratom happened later, and that was like the real true addiction issue. And when I had smoked weed before, it was random here and there. Didn't really need it or care too much about it. I'd have like maybe a box of gummies and have some for like summer events or outdoor stuff. It wasn't really a big deal, and I wasn't buying them all the time or, like, running out, but I would just have a box or 2, and it would be a thing, and it was, like, something to supplement my activities with. So I didn't consider it to be concerning at all before the kratom use. When I stopped with the kratom and I was on the kava-kratom blue bottle tonics, when I stopped that, there was this big gaping hole left from the addiction, and I was desperate to fill it with anything, and I had stopped drinking, so that was not an option for me. And cannabis slowly crept its way in as, like, the master replacement, quote, unquote. Not that it was, because it didn't do the same things at all, but it was me desperately, like, trying to find homeostasis again. My brain was like, "Hey, you were this way before, and that is gone now, so we're gonna clamor to find something else to fill that hole." And so that's what cannabis did, and unfortunately, it crept up for me as a sudden cross addiction, which I did not see coming. And I had heard of cross addictions. Oh, you quit one thing and then you bounce on to the next. And I'm like, nah, that's not my issue. Like, cannabis wasn't a problem, but it became a problem. And all of a sudden, like, that was the next thing that I was struggling to kick. And it was not a big deal before. And it became a big deal. And I was the most surprised of anyone. My therapist, who's an addictions specialist, was warning me the whole time, and we were working on a plan to get off of it. But yeah, it became an issue. I'm almost 1 year off of cannabis today. Like, in just a couple weeks, it'll be a whole year. And that was the last thing that I had to kick. And I'm gonna keep that in mind as my goal, to be totally free of all things. And Again, I was the last one to see that coming. I didn't think that would be me. I thought cannabis could be an okay option here and there, but it quickly became the other way. Yeah, there's our yin and yang. Different experience for sure.
Yeah, different experience for sure. I think it just goes to show you that everybody's different and you don't know which side of the coin you're going to land on. I was someone, I forget who I interviewed, but they were talking about kava and how they liked kava. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to try it. And this is after we did the interview, and they were like, "Oh, it's not really addictive, this or that." I was like, "Look, I can get addicted to anything. I don't need to I don't need to try something else. You could say it's not addictive, and then I'll have the whole island of the Vanuatu shipping me fucking every day for all I know. Or maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I think at this point in my life, I just don't want to roll the dice with anything. I don't really see whatever substance it is. I'm not trying to hide from my pain anymore. I don't need anything to enhance my life. I got plenty of other enhancements and stimulation without putting substances in my body. So for me, that's where I'm at. Everybody else has to judge what they want to do and what's best for them. And the way I look at recovery is it's not about the substance or the thing. It's is your life better or not? And are you accomplishing what you want? And are you feeling the way you want to feel with that in your life? And if you're not, maybe you should think about cutting it out.
Yeah, I know, and sometimes you can't even see what's going wrong in your life or what should change because 'cause you're taking this substance and it's creating this very pleasant haze that just covers up all the things that you might be putting off or ignoring, like, say you play music, but you're not actually playing any music, and you're taking this substance to cover that up, and then the minute you remove that substance, it's, "Oh, shit, like, I'm not doing the thing I love, I'm not making music," or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And you have to take a long, hard look at that because unfortunately, part of that is you. And you have to make a change to make that happen, even if you don't enjoy it at first. Like you have to start doing it again and eventually it clicks and you're like, "Oh wait, I like this." Like the joy comes back in it and it's not going to be there right away after you remove these things. Like sometimes you don't have joy in it and it takes time to come back to it, but it will come back. The joy comes back and then the desire comes back and then all of a sudden it's all there. It does take time. And that's something I wish that I knew ahead of time because I thought I was broken at the end like why don't I like this? Why don't I like that? I used to love this. This is really upsetting. So yeah, that's part of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. We all want a quick fix, but unfortunately with this type of thing, it just like you said, takes time.
It
Well,
does. It
cool.
does.
Well, I think
Great.
like you said, you've got a really good interview lined up with, I believe, Ryan. So we'll get on to that.
Yep. Episode 157 with me, Lily, and Ryan, who's a repeat guest. So enjoy the show. Hello. So, this is the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. My name is Lily, and I'm here today with Ryan. And Ryan is a repeat guest. He was on the podcast with us in May of 2024, episode 62. So, if you'd like to hear about Ryan's original quitting story to get a full understanding of his journey, listen to episode 62 before this episode. So today we're taking a little different angle on this interview, talking about relapse, talking about some of the factors that may have led Ryan there this time and what helped him come back to his kratom sobriety. And we're also going to dive into some of the interpersonal relationship issues that naturally tend to come up during periods of addiction and withdrawal and how and why this can play a large role into relapse. Hi, Ryan. Welcome back. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah. Can you tell folks where you're from, your age, and what you do with your days, what you do for a living?
Sure, I'm 43. I live in the suburbs just outside of Chicago, and I'm a real estate agent.
Cool. Awesome. And then what is your most recent kratom sobriety date?
The date was 10 days ago. I use a sobriety clock called Nomo, so that's how I track it. But yeah, whatever 10
Okay.
days, I don't even know what day it is. Was 10 days
Okay.
ago.
So you're on day 10. So I know that you came back on because you've been going through kind of the cycle of relapse and addiction. How long was your period of time off kratom before returning to use?
72 days was the longest I
Okay.
went. And then I would have periods where I would only go a few days and then get back on it and then quit. And it was just this kind of like never ending cycle. And yeah, even though I'm only off for 10 days right now, I'm just so determined to make it, to just quit. And when I delve into my story a little bit more, it's kind of like I have to. I have to quit at this point.
Definitely. So if you're within that 2-week mark, that's definitely a harder time with the cravings and everything. How is that going for you right now?
I mean, I feel like right now it's more of a mental craving than a physical,
Yeah.
just because I'm such a creature of habit that it's it's hard to to drive by some of the places where I used to buy it and not want to stop in and at least just talk to the people that I used to buy it from. And because I'm friends with friends, quote unquote, with a lot of the people that work in the stores, and they all know me. It's more of a mental battle at this point.
It can be hard when you find community in the space of addiction, whether it's positive or not, but still those are the people that you hang around and that you find comfort in. And it can be hard to take that away too.
Yeah.
Are you able to drive a different way while you're kind of working through this? Are you able to take the long way out of
Yeah.
town, or are
y-
they really everywhere,
Yes
these
and
stores?
yes and no, but the problem is, yeah, the stores are everywhere. It's just something I got to it's just something I got to deal with.
Is it like weed and vape stores, or is it gas stations, or what kind of stores have them in your area, in Chicago area?
All of the above. All of the above. Yeah, there's a lot of Circle K's. It's Circle K has a brand deal with these kratom drinks, which is what I was addicted to. And yeah, and it's a lot of the vape and kratom stores and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of everywhere.
And then in your first episode with us, you mentioned that you had struggled with addiction to alcohol before you found the kratom. And then after quitting kratom, you ended up turning to opiate pills. So I was curious if you wanted to open up about your return to use and how that changed with your different addictions and kind of what came forward and what moved back, what you ended up turning
Sure.
to.
Sure. Actually, so I to back it up, about 7 years ago now at this point, when I first got sober, I'd used kratom to help me quit drinking. And then back in August of 2022, my dad was killed in an accident. He was riding his bicycle, got hit by a truck, and that led me to getting addicted to these kratom drinks, which at the time I just thought they were innocuous. Just thought it was I used kratom to help me quit drinking. I was like, I just thought, okay, these are the same thing, and started drinking 1 to 2 bottles a day, and that quickly escalated to anywhere between 8 to 12 bottles a day. And ironically, I had gotten a bottle as a free sample from one of the kratom stores that I used to buy from, and it had just sat in my cupboard. And then after my dad's accident, I saw it sitting there. I was like, I'm going to give this a try. And
Mhm.
literally, like, I drank that first bottle, literally went and bought 2 or 3 more right
Yeah.
after that, because I was like, wow, these make me feel really good. I say this all the time with addiction. It's like it's hard to it's really hard to tell times and timelines because everything's just kind of like
Yeah.
a blur. But
Mhm.
after about 6 months or so, I tried quitting, and the withdrawals were just horrendous. And I honestly, like an idiot, I thought the withdrawals were just the depression of losing my dad.
Mm.
So I didn't really know what I was experiencing. And I remember I was having dinner with some friends one one night, and I was just like, I have a one of one of my friends had offered me. She had some oxycontin, and she's like, "Oh, I got some oxycontin, and I want to try it with you guys because I've never tried it." And I was like, I don't want to try it because I'm going through this addiction problem right now with these kratom drinks. I said I couldn't even imagine what getting on those would be like. That so after a while of just struggling with being on these kratom drinks, and again, I was drinking 8 to 12 a day. I was throwing up 1 to 2 times a day, sometimes more, and I just could
Yeah.
not get off of them. And when I would get off of them, I felt horrible, and
Mhm.
I wasn't even drinking them to, like, get high anymore. I was drinking them just so I could function. Like, I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't leave the house. I just felt like hell every single day, and that's when I started ironically, I started seeking out harder opiates just because you know how that they call it the hedonic treadmill when you're addicted, where
Mm.
your body adapts and you just need to keep
Yeah.
escalating and elevating your use. And with these kratom drinks, you really can't because you just keep throwing up. So I sought out harder opiates, and then I had turned when I finally decided that I needed to get off of these for good. That's when I just decided, all right, I'm going to quit cold turkey. I cleared out my calendar for the next 4 to 5 days, and and then I just was like, all right, I'm just going to white knuckle it, quit. And after about the fourth day of not sleeping, like literally, I was sleeping like maybe an hour or two a night, maybe. I went through what everybody else has gone through: the shakes, the hot flashes, the cold sweats, the restless legs, everything. And after about 4 days of that, I was like, I can't take this anymore. So stupid me, I was like, I know how to quit drinking. I don't know how to quit this. So I started drinking just so I could knock myself out and be able to fall asleep. And because I had tried weed to sleep and it wasn't working. If anything, it was kind of making things worse for me because I was so paranoid. And for me, weed makes me feel things more. So it just kind of almost like exacerbated all the symptoms I was going through. So finally, I'll never forget. I went to the grocery store by my house when I was living in the city at the time, and I bought a bottle of bourbon, and I kid you not, it was like something out of a movie. I heard this voice in the back of my head that said, "Don't do it, just don't do it," and I did it anyway, and ended up drinking pretty much all of that one night. But I was finally able to sleep, but it just triggered my alcoholism and awakened that in me again, and it was crazy how quickly I got physically dependent on alcohol again. It's
Mm.
really wild. Like within a week, I was drinking pretty much every day. And
Wow.
after about a month of just going on a long bender, I'll never forget. Like I text my mom one day and I was just like, can I come and stay with you for a few days? Because I was like, I can't, I I just could not stop. And she was like, "Yeah, come and stay." It was actually It was actually Mother's Day weekend last year, so 2024. So I had texted her, and I texted her on a Thursday night, and I showed up at her house at Friday morning at like 6:30 in the morning because I couldn't sleep and I just felt like hell. And I showed up at her door, and like she knew something was wrong with me. And
Mhm.
I showed up at her door and just started crying. I was like, I can't get out of this. Like it's just like if I'm not struggling with these kratom drinks or opiates, I'm struggling with drinking. It's like I was just like in this never ending cycle.
Yeah.
So showed up at her door, and I had drank so much the month leading up to that that I developed really horrible gastritis, which if you don't know what that is if you've never had it, it's basically like your gastrointestinal system is just basically so inflamed that like it looked like I was pregnant. Like my stomach was sticking out because
Aw.
it's so inflamed. Yeah, I have pictures of it too from when that happened. And I couldn't lay on my back and I couldn't sit up straight. So I had to sleep on like a 45-degree angle. And I just stayed at her house for like 4 or 5 days. And at the time, I was about 6 months into starting a business with two business partners. And they knew I was going through something. I told them I was going through something. And so I was able to kind of like tone the drinking down. I was off of kratom and opiates. And that summer I started dating somebody because actually I had lost a previous relationship in part because of the opiates and because of these kratom drinks. That was part of it. The rest of it was a long distance relationship, but wasn't really working out anyway. Then I started dating somebody who I really cared about a lot, really saw a future with them. And I was just like, all right, I need to stop everything. Like, I just need to get this all under control. And so, again, I had quit cold turkey. And the way I did it was we went on a family vacation down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and they don't sell these kratom drinks down there. So I was like, all right, here you go. You just need to stop and just quit cold turkey and just white knuckle it through this vacation. Well, I did that, but I was still drinking because the withdrawals were so horrendous. And like my family knew something was up with me because I was sleeping a lot and I wasn't the same person I normally am. And so I continued drinking, was off of everything else, continued drinking, kind of had a little bit of a relapse and started using again. And then again, was drinking to get off of everything. I ended up in October of that year getting pulled over. I was actually out for my birthday. I was out with some friends, had a couple drinks, got pulled over. I was actually on my way to meet my girlfriend, got pulled over, got arrested for a DUI, and she ended up breaking up with me as a result of that. And I would say that's when things got really bad. I at first I at first I tried to make that decision like, okay, you need to use this as like a rock bottom moment and just get your shit together, get your life together, get all of this out of your system, get all of this out of your life and just get sober from everything. But it actually went the other way. And not only did I start using and drinking more, I just plummeted into the worst depression I've ever experienced in my entire life. I was going days without leaving the house. I was just basically living off of DoorDash, and it's like it's hard to even explain because now I feel like I'm talking about somebody else's life because I'm like, I can't believe that I went through that. But I wasn't leaving the house. I was bare I was showering like once or twice a week. And when I did leave the house, it was only for brief moments, and it was for like work appointments. And as soon as I was leaving the house, I was like already counting down the time until I get back home. And when I would go to like the grocery store or the liquor store, it was crazy. Like I wouldn't make eye contact with anybody. I just wanted to get what I needed to get back home and get into bed. And I'll never forget, my company had a our Christmas party like the second week of December, and I ended up not going. I told my boss I had the flu, and I was just basically at home, staying in bed, watching movies, either drinking or using. And I was set to my lease was up at the end of December, and I was moving out to the suburbs in January. And finally, I was still using, I was still going through all that. I ended up moving out to the suburbs, and I thought for sure, just like the change of scenery and everything, like I would be able to snap out of this. I'd be able to stop everything. But in fact, it just continued. And I would say it got a little bit worse.
So, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry about your father. I wanted to say that. That sounds like a really difficult thing to go through. And if you're struggling with addiction, it makes sense when a huge traumatic loss comes through that's what the brain wants to do is return to that sense of normalcy and return to the substance or different substance. So that makes sense. And it says that you said that you started a new business. That's a high level of stress, like starting a business, death in the family, like moving, like, that's a huge stress. I think you got everyone checked off except for marriage. Let's see, it's death in the family, moving, like, hello, new business, yeah, breakup, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're stressed, yeah, there's some reasons there, I get that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Everything's changing and nothing's the same, and of course, you're gonna be reaching out for some kind of sense of normalcy. When you stayed with your mom, and it sounds like that was a pretty bad spot, you had gastritis and you were, like, visibly not doing well. Did you seek out any medical advice or any support outside of your mom?
No, no. And I should have. I really should
W
have.
were you was your mom or was anyone else concerned to say, "Hey, you should go to a doctor or a rehab center"? Did anyone, like, suggest that
Oh,
or
absolutely.
try they did? And
Yeah, my
what
mom,
was your hesitancy?
I just thought I'll get through this. I'll be fine. And
Mhm.
I, in hindsight, two things. In hindsight, I should have gone somewhere, but after about 4 or 5 days, I was fine. But I didn't quit drinking, which I should have. And it's so weird to talk about it now because I don't even feel like the same person. Like I feel like I'm talking about somebody else. But yeah, my mom was like, "You need to go to a doctor. You might need to go to rehab." And I didn't, and I should have. And that's definitely something I would tell people is that there's no shame in getting help. Like there's
Yeah.
you can't. Some things are bigger than us, and
Yeah.
you need to reach out to help.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like when you first found the kava-kratom tonics in the store, you had that sample and whatnot, and then you found more of them, and in a way, I feel this to be true, is that that drink specifically, I feel like the marketing towards it for people in recovery from alcohol and just, like, boost your mood, I feel like it takes advantage of people in their most vulnerable state, and you were in a
Absolutely.
vulnerable state. You were recovering from a huge loss, grief of your father, you had alcoholism that you had gotten through at that time, and this product just swooped in and was like, "I can fix everything." And you thought it was
Right,
fine
right.
because we don't know what the hell this stuff does until we're already hooked on it because that's what it does. and it does hit the opiate receptors in the brain. So your body thinks, I'm happy, I'm okay, everything's fine. And like we're desperately seeking that when we turn to it. So, yes, all of this makes sense. And it just makes me mad because it's like, how dare they do this? How, like, they know what they're doing by making this product. Like, God damn it.
Somebody on one of the other episodes put it the best way I've ever heard anybody put it. She said that it's like when they do sex trafficking to people and they force people to get addicted to heroin. That's kind of what it's like. It's like
How so?
I got I got addicted to this thing that I didn't know what it was, and I knew it was kratom, but there's been reports that they are altering, that they ferment the kratom, and that they're doing other ways to manipulate the ingredients, and
Yeah.
they're constantly changing the recipe because they keep getting sued.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it just had I known that going into it, I would have never have tried them. Never.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think most
I
people feel the same. Like, if I had known how strong it was or the addiction rate or like what it actually did, like that this was different than just the ground up leaf.
right.
But even that's a struggle for folks too. All of it is. I mean, my stance is unless you're standing next to the kratom tree and you pick a leaf off of it and you chew on it, like that's the only somewhat safe version because you
Right.
can't chew on enough leaves all day to get even one serving of ground up kratom in your body. Like you would have to be
Right.
like a rabbit, like munching all day.
Right.
So it's just harmful in all the ways that we've messed with it, basically. But I feel like the kava-kratom tonics in the blue bottle that we all know what we're talking about. Those seem to be, for whatever reason of their secret recipe of combination, the most very addictive and really hard to get off of. And I was going to ask, so you were, let's see, so you had that holiday party around December, you didn't go. What kind of made you stop that time around in the December, January time period? And this is 2024 to 2025. So this is coming into this year now. Like
Right.
what
No,
paused you there?
I did I actually didn't stop. I just kept going, and then I ended up moving out to the suburbs in January,
Mm,
and just my use either I would say it probably got even worse because now so I had decided to move out to the suburbs for two reasons. One, I was just ready to make a change and move out here, but I also wanted to live closer to my now ex-girlfriend at that point. And so now I was out here, I was alone. So things just continued and things got worse. I was still drinking. I was barely leaving the house, and I plummeted into the worst depression I've ever experienced in my entire life. Like I said, I was not leaving the house. I was barely showering. I was living off a DoorDash,
so
and
that was after you moved to the suburbs then?
correct,
Okay.
correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And I
Um,
know in the first episode, you mentioned that you were working with an addiction counselor or a therapist. Did you stop going or did you pause or what happened with the therapist that you were seeing?
yeah, I had stopped going because he didn't really know how to treat what I was going through.
The
He
kratom?
wasn't really familiar. Yeah, he wasn't familiar with kratom. He was familiar with opiates. He was familiar with alcohol, but and also at that time and what I was going through, I, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. I just didn't want help. I just I just wanted to just I guess just be in my misery. It's the only
Yeah.
way to put it. It just yeah, I just
Well, yeah. You're not ready to get help until you're ready to get help. You can't,
right,
you have to be ready yourself and you have to, at the end of the day, no matter how people tell you what to do, like you have to decide yourself. Yeah. I mean, if you're not connecting with your therapist and you don't feel like he's helping, It's a shame that he didn't know about kratom. It's so common that I feel like a broken record saying this on the podcast, but if you can find an addiction specialist in counseling and therapy, it can be really helpful. But then again, they might not be familiar with kratom, and it's still kind of a mysterious substance to the mainstream therapy world. I had to educate 2 different therapists on what it was and eventually leave them because they didn't get it. The 3rd one did, thank God, and she did help me. But if I had just kept going to the same person, she was like, "Oh, yeah, it seems kind of, maybe a problem,"
Right.
like, that wouldn't have
Yeah.
helped me. I had to change it up. I'm really sorry that your therapist didn't get it. Are you open to seeking out therapy for addiction and kratom later on just to talk it
Yeah.
out?
Well, it's funny because, like I said, now I have to because a part of my getting arrested for DUI, I have 2 years of court supervision. I have to go to mandatory counseling and therapy, which
Okay.
is fine because I want to figure out why, other than losing my dad, I want to get to the root cause of this. I really do. I say this all the time in the WhatsApp group for quitting kratom. It's that normies will never understand this. I When I talk to friends, family, they don't get it. They just don't. And whereas like people who've struggled with addiction, when I talk to them about it, they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." Like people just automatically get it. And so yeah, I'm definitely, even if it wasn't court ordered, I would definitely be open to it just because I don't want to deal with this for the rest of my life. I don't. I'm
Yeah.
sick of I'm sick of the cycle. I'm sick of, I just, I want my life back because before my dad's accident, I mean, I was sober. I was one of the top producers at my job. I was up every day at 5 a.m., hitting the gym, hitting all my goals. Like I was very high performing. And then this just really took me off track in just about every aspect of my life. And
Yeah.
I'm just very eager to get back to that.
Yeah. Well, how many years were you sober before the accident happened? And
6.5. Yeah, I was sober for 6.5 years.
yeah,
And but
that's
before
amazing.
that, and before that, I was somebody who I didn't even like taking aspirin. I just was just like, I don't want
Yeah.
anything. I like to go the natural route on everything. And yeah, this whole experience just really, it ruined my life. It's the only way to put it. It ruined my life in just about every aspect. And like I had mentioned, the relationship I was in that I had lost, that was somebody that I cared for very deeply, somebody I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. And losing her was certainly a catalyst that really set me down a
Yeah.
deep depression. And it's just something addiction does is it just robs you of the life that you could have had, which is why they call it recovery. It's that you're trying to recover the life that you should be living. And I'm
Yeah.
just very eager to get everything back on track.
Yeah.
It's like I tell people this all the time. Addiction is really a modern form of slavery. It really is. I mean,
Slave of the mind and body. Yep.
oh my
Mhm.
gosh, it's horrible. And I hate when I see people kind of like blaming addicts and shaming them. I'm like, addicts don't want this. We don't want it. It's not something that we choose. And it's like when I would tell people this, some people would be like, why don't you just quit? Or why don't you just not buy it? Or why it's like that's like telling somebody, hey, if they're running a marathon, well, if you want to win it, just run faster. Well, yeah, no kidding. If I could
Yeah,
do
it's
that, I would.
simple. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've had
No,
times I've had times where I've woken up the next day to like an empty bottle of like bourbon or whiskey and I'm like, I don't even remember buying it. I don't. It's just like
that's
I
scary.
apparently went
Yeah.
yeah, I went to the store and bought it, and it just, I just, it really is a form of slavery, and I, if anything, I
Yeah.
really try to do my best to help other people understand that it's
Yeah.
not something that people choose. It really isn't.
No, it's a coping tool. I mean, it's a way of self-soothing, and it's one that's readily accessible for a few dollars at a store, and it's one of the easiest quick fixes, but as we all know, the quick fixes are not long-term band-aids. Maybe it's a tiny little band-aid, but that falls off real quick, and then you have to put it back on again and on again and on again, like, you're not actually, like,
Right.
healing the wound. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a quick fix, and people that don't get it won't get it. All we can keep doing is talk about it, bringing awareness to the issue because we're not the only ones. This is happening to people of all walks of life and situations. And what you said about you were kind of the more natural way before, you didn't like to take aspirin, like there's so many folks that are in that camp of like, "Oh, yeah, I'm natural, I'm alternative, I don't like to take medicine. I'm taking this kava-kratom tonic. It's natural, like, I feel like it's safer." And then that ends up being the gateway drug that opens up the floodgates to
Right.
all the other things, or you get sucked into just that really bad. But it's awful. And again, it's taking advantage of people saying something safe, and then all of a sudden, you're, like, up here stuck on it.
Mhm.
I was gonna ask, aside from your mom and maybe your girlfriend at the time, were you talking with anyone about this while it was happening? Did you tell anyone?
I mm, I told my brother and my sister, and again, it's like I don't think people in my life understood just how bad it was. And it wasn't only until a few months ago that I was able to tell my friends and family, like, it 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 got so bad for me. There was definitely days where I just thought about ending it all. There was a lot of days like that. Days where I was even planning it out, how I would do it. And in hindsight, I should have had my sister take all my guns out of my house because I didn't trust myself with them in there. And it just, the feeling of not only hopelessness, but the feeling that this will never end, just, it's hard to explain. It's hard to describe. I just did not think I would be able to break out of this. And I've had to tell my mom this. I'm like, "Mom, the only reason that I'm still alive is because I couldn't imagine putting you through losing me. That's really the only thing that kept me alive, is I couldn't do that to my mom." And it just kind of reached a point where I was just like, "Okay, I've got to get out of this somehow." And I'll never forget, like, I had to dog sit for her back in April, and I woke up one morning and there was like two empty bottles of wine, empty bottle. There's like a empty bottle of rum because there was half of that when I started, and I woke up the next morning and I didn't remember drinking any of it. And that's when I was like, all right, I've got to, at the very least, I've got to quit drinking. I've got to get this out of my life. And thankfully, I was able to quit, that pretty much that week.
And when was
But
this?
this was back in April. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's
That
amazing.
was, because, yeah, my NOMO, yeah, it was 138 days ago.
That's wonderful.
And then I was just like, I've got to figure out how to get everything else out. But at the very least, I got to quit drinking. And it's crazy when I look at pictures of myself from earlier this year, as I got up to 205 pounds, which is very heavy for me. I'm about 165 right now. And I just was like, I knew that if I didn't stop with everything, y- I couldn't. There's just I don't know what I can say or not say on this, but there I don't know if I would have. I would don't even know if I would be here still if I was still doing that. Just because
Well,
the depression and the depression and where I was mentally, I couldn't do it anymore. And like I said, really the only thing that was keeping me from ending it all was I couldn't do that to my mom because I've had parents and I've known people who've lost children, and I just couldn't do that to her. And I was like, okay,
yeah.
if you're not going to do that, then you need to figure out how to get all of this out of your life. It was just all there is to it.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself, and I'm really glad that
Mhm.
you're here, and I'm glad that you didn't harm yourself. I'm glad you told your sister to make the house a little bit safer by removing certain items, and there is the suicide hotline 988. I think there's also a text crisis line. It might even be 988. I actually have it saved on my phone just in case you get to that point, because when you get to that point, you can't remember how to do anything. Yeah, the crisis text line is 741741, and I believe you can just text that directly, or 988 to call. So just FYI for listeners if you need that. And it is really important to tell someone when you're going through that. I'm glad you talked to your sister. The hard thing is like you said, like not everyone gets it, and not we're not all trained to know what to do in these crises. There's professionals on the line if you want to call them. They can just talk you off the ledge. But it's really hard because you don't know what to do, you don't know how to get out of it, and you just want to stop. I'm really glad you're able to stop drinking. It sounds like you've muscled through a lot of things for a really long time. I'm just wondering if maybe you'd be open to receiving a little bit of help, like through some kind of a group meeting or community, just so that it shows like you're not the only one in the room this
Yeah.
way. Like, here's a room full of people that are struggling. Like, you don't suck. We are all struggling. Like,
Yeah.
that helped me more than I wanted to acknowledge. I fought it tooth and nail for about a whole year. And then I'm like, fine, I'll go. And I finally went to a group that resonated with me. And mind you, like, I tried AA. I went to 6 different meetings just to try because my therapist was like, go. And I'm like, no, but then I did. I went to 6 meetings. I didn't connect with those meetings, but I found a group online that I really liked that was a women's group. At some point, I want to make a list of some like co-ed or men's groups too for online communities, try to find some, because there's definitely a lack of that for men, and I feel like men need it
Yeah.
a lot. And it's what kind of things are you doing to keep yourself sane during this time? Because you've been through a lot already this year, and it takes a toll on the body. It's really exhausting, and I know that you want to get right back to where you were before all of this happened, but just keep in mind that it takes a long time, and it's really frustrating to hear, but it can take 6 months to a year, sometimes 2 years before just your brain and your body kinda, like, stabilize. Like, taking naps all the time is totally a
Yeah.
thing, sleeping more is a thing. Just keep in mind, like, yes, it takes longer than you would like it to, but that's also normal. And if you're not like up at 5 a.m. within a month or so, like that's to be expected and that's okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, just wondering what kind of coping methods or tools you might use over the next few months to keep yourself at bay.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I've had to say this to my mom especially, and it's funny because my mom knows what I went through, and there will still be times where she'll say something to me, and I'm like, "Mom, you need to treat me like I've been in a coma for the last 6 months because that's what I feel like. Like I don't. The months of January to May, I barely remember a thing because every day I was just laying in bed, and even I stayed at her place this past weekend, And she's like, "Why are you always taking naps?" I'm like, "Mom, I've gone over this with you. I've told you this a million
'Cause it's
times. Like,
exhausting.
because
It's
it's
exhausting,
gonna
that's
take
why.
it's gonna take a long time." And like, I know she gets embarrassed by it, but I don't care. If she says something to me, I'll just be like, "Mom, because I was addicted to opiates and alcohol for so long, like, that's why I'm tired." Like, and then she's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I forgot." I'm like, it just so, yeah, it can be frustrating sometimes when I'm talking to people because I just don't have the energy I once did, and I'm
Yeah,
slowly but surely getting back
that's
to
fine.
that. And for me, it's, yeah, I stick to my vitamin regimen. I take a ton of vitamins and supplements every day. I try to work out at least 5 to 6 days a week. If you saw pictures on my Instagram of me from just a few years ago, I was
Like a different person.
I could have been a fitness model easily. I've always been in really great shape. I've always been like a gym rat. I've always like people still reach out to me for fitness advice and everything. And I'm just like, sometimes I feel like a fraud because I'm like, well, I'm not in the shape I used to be, but slowly but surely getting back to that. But yeah, I really think going to the gym as much as you can, staying up with sticking to a really strict vitamin and supplement regimen every day. And even just something as simple as going for walks, like I go for walks every night.
Yeah, great.
But yeah, but yeah, just I would have to say just staying physically active is probably the most important thing anybody can do.
That's true. Yeah. Do you have any ways that you enjoy finding rest? Because sometimes that can be really hard, is like allowing yourself or letting yourself rest or resting longer than you would like to. That was hard for me
Yeah,
as a really like busy person. I'm like, ugh, I have to sit in a chair and read a book.
right,
Like,
right.
what do you do when you feel like, okay, I need to rest? Like, what do you do for that?
Yeah, I have no shame in because I basically work for myself, so I work from home. I have no problem just taking naps
Good.
when I need to and sitting down and reading or something along those lines. I'm trying to get back into meditating. Before all this started, I would meditate for 10 minutes every morning. I was really strict with that. So it's
That's
just
great.
getting back to yeah, it's meditating really helps. And something that is really sounds strange but is very effective is just being in fact I'm planning on doing this tonight is just making goals for yourself, like just writing out some goals for yourself because we talk about this all the time in the WhatsApp group, but one of the things that you lose when you're going through this is like you lose your ability to dream and to have hope for yourself. And you
Yeah,
really need that. You really, really
you
need
do.
that. Like before all this happened, I still have all my notebooks, but I would get up every morning and write out my goals 5 times every single morning. Every single morning, I would never miss it. And then I had a whiteboard
Great.
in my room that had all my goals on it. And when I started going through all this, that was like one of the first things I stopped doing. And you really need to find your purpose. And even if it's not what you think is the quote unquote right thing, just find something that is your
Mhm.
purpose once you get out of this. Because once you get out of like the fog of addiction, you feel lost and you feel like you need to learn how to live again. And certainly for
Yep.
me, I was like, I needed to learn how to live. I needed like, oh, I need to take a shower every day. I need simple stuff like that.
Yeah.
You just have to start relearning, and it's strange and it can be uncomfortable, but you need to do it.
Yeah. So, 2 questions. 1, do you still have that whiteboard?
Yeah,
Yep. I okay. The second one is, can you put it back up on the wall?
yeah,
And just write out your goals. They could be small, they could be go for a walk 5 times this week or just something else, or even something at the end of the month, like having something, like you said, to look forward to at the end of each month can help. I also have a whiteboard and I try to put like one like event or like something at the end of the month, go to the river or whatever on the board so I see
Yeah.
it and it's there like, oh, like in 4 weeks I get to do this, in 2 weeks I could do this. And also something that can be helpful. I don't know if this is like helpful for you, but printing out the months or putting the whiteboard out on a month and giving yourself a literal gold sticker every day you get through a
Yeah.
day sober. Oh my God. It's so dumb, but it's also like ingenious. I have like I have the printed out calendar of the month. I bought a roll of silver stars and it's like the gold star. Like I get a gold star every
Yeah.
day, but it's a silver
Yeah.
star and
My
and
whiteboard's
it's
actually right here.
okay. Get some nails, get a tack, whatever it is. Yeah, get it up there. That would be good.
Do stuff
Mm,
like that.
you gotta do it.
It's
You
just
gotta get it in writing. It's
yeah.
your accountability thing. Yep. Have you ever used the Insight Timer meditation app? Have you heard of that one? Insight
I've
Timer?
I use Headspace and I'm trying to find the other one that I've been using.
It's INSIGHT Insights Timer. The default version is free and you can like select a little chime or bell noise. Oh, I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes and you hit a little chime button and then that chime will go off after 5 minutes or whatever time. So you can do your own like non-guided and you can set a background noise. But there's also like a whole library of free meditations to choose from.
So that is the one I was using.
Oh, yay, you do have it.
Yeah.
Well, for our
Yeah.
listeners, it's awesome, obviously, but it's helpful because the it's free. You can do almost anything on there free. They have upgrades and options that you don't really need to do that. And you can pick from like a male voice or a female voice or background music or no music. You can pick length of time and get pretty specific to what you need. Like sometimes I'll do the 5 minute thing and just when I get out of bed, if I feel bad, I'll just select something and it'll be like morning happiness meditation and I'll just listen to someone else teach me.
The teacher I was using because I had to just re-download it.
Yeah.
I was using this British guy who was amazing. Hugh Byrne, Byrne.
Hugh
Um,
Byrne is a
Hugh
calming
Byrne,
voice.
yeah, he very calming voice, and he's who I was using when I was at my most consistent with meditating.
Add that to the whiteboard. That could be your whiteboard
Yeah,
thing. Just check off the meditations. I think they also bring up some kind of like ding or whatever when you hit a certain amount of days in a row. They'll be like 10 days in a row. Woo! Like
yeah,
congrats. So that helps.
yeah.
So I know that you're still in the ins and the outs of things, the ups and the downs, and you definitely were able to stop drinking alcohol, but the kava-kratom tonics are still have their claws in you off and on. What are you going to do next time you get one of those cravings? Like stop, drop, and roll. This is the moment. What are you going to do?
I have a gym at my apartment complex, so I anytime I get a craving, I try to just go to the gym and walk on the treadmill or do something at the gym, like just try to replace it. Or if I get one of those cravings and I say I'm out and about, I really love kombucha, so I'll go and get like a kombucha drink, something to replace it. I find it's better for me anyway, it's better to replace than it is to remove. So if I
Okay.
get those cravings, if I replace it with a kombucha drink, it's better than just trying to white knuckle it and fight off cuz with cravings, just like with alcohol, it's like cravings with those things, they only last a few minutes. If you can just get through those few minutes, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's just you need something to replace it.
Yeah. Definitely. And
Yeah.
when I was gonna ask a little bit about with your ex, did you tell her about your addiction issues? I mean, aside from when the DUI happened, did you tell her about your history
No.
when you started dating? That all
No.
came out with the DUI?
Yeah, yeah, unfortunately,
That
and
would
it
be a big
was like,
surprise. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That
and
would
that's not
that would be
something
a
I
big
would wanna,
surprise to
you
not
know,
know.
and it's not something I would wanna drop on somebody at the beginning of a relationship. She had known about my struggle with alcohol, but not with kratom and opiates. So,
Yeah. Would you consider talking about it with the next person so it's out in the open?
oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's
The best case is honesty. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it's hard, but the best case is to talk about it when you can, and it's not something you might bring up on the first date, but maybe you bring it
right.
up soon.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a first date conversation, but it's definitely something that should be discussed early on. And
Yeah.
because I think the biggest concern and fear that people have is that, oh, you're going to relapse. Oh, I got to worry about you and all this. And in my opinion, it's like, yeah, there's definitely a concern, but don't think that I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you're familiar with Johan Harari or any of his work, but he wrote a
No.
really great book on addiction. And one of his book, I'm going to look it up real quick because I always forget the name of it. His book on addiction, he his hypothesis is that in addition to all the other factors that play a role in addiction, one of the biggest contributors to addiction is loneliness
Yeah.
and a loss of connection. And that's definitely true for me. I work alone, I live alone, I'm constantly alone. In fact, my therapist, that was always his biggest concern for me. He was like, "You are alone way too much." And that's why this past weekend I went to my mom's because I was just like I couldn't be alone anymore. I was like I'm starting to get a little stir crazy and I'm starting to get that addictive itch where I'm like, all right, I need to do something. And yeah, when I could certainly say that when I'm in a relationship, that craving and that pull to want to use is not nearly as strong as when
Yeah.
I'm alone.
It's definitely for folks that may have a partner, a loved one that struggles with addiction. Just know that it's not up to you and it is that person's mind, and at the end of the day, it's them and their mind, and you can worry all you want, but it's not gonna predict when or if they're gonna have a relapse. It's hard to know that, but it's just not up to them. And they do say that the opposite of addiction is connection. That's like the quote that sticks with my
Right.
mind. So, yeah, if you're isolating, if you're alone, like get around other people. Were you ever on any sports teams or any kind of group things? Because you're into fitness. Like, it seems like maybe you could join some kind of local team and like just be around other people once a week. Thought of that?
Yeah, that's kind of something I played football in high school and that's kind of something I'm in addition to finally getting a dog, I'm going to be looking for something like that because yeah, I've always been somebody who enjoys being alone, who enjoys solitude, who likes that, but I've come to realize that it's not the best for me.
Well, sometimes when you have that, even if it's like once a week, if you have that one group thing, it can make you appreciate your alone time more. Like, okay, I'm going to have this group activity. And then, like, after that, I get to spend some downtime. And it reminds you of, like, oh, yeah, I really enjoy that when I have that. And it shows you both sides.
Right.
I wonder if there's like a local, like, collegiate, like, team of like dads and guys your age that could play with you. I bet there's a lot of people that want to be on like a low key team and just have fun.
Well, I just joined a new gym, and they have more, I guess, intramural sports. Like, they've got a
Great.
pickleball league, they've got all this other stuff. So yeah, and that was part of the reason I decided to join this gym. I was like, I need something. I need to be around other people. And I mean, like I said, I moved to a new area. I don't really know anybody
Yeah,
out here. And so yeah, it's good just to find some sort of community.
definitely. Well,
So
I'm
you're
going
not
to
alone.
challenge you to sign up for one of those intramural sports things at your gym. I'm going to challenge you to do that by within the month, before the end of August. You got to go to one stinking pickleball game or something.
All
I think you can do
right.
it. I think that'd be good. And you don't know
Yeah.
anyone. You're fresh meat to this place. I bet everyone at the gym is sick of their old friends and they're like, "Who's this new guy?" Like, "Yay." Like,
All
people
right.
like new people. Like, it's
Yeah.
just it's fun to connect. You're
Absolutely.
making some good progress and moves, and like, things are moving one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time. I'm really glad that you came on to talk about the process and real life. Addiction is not always a straight path to recovery. We're always healing no matter how far along on your journey you are. It can be very up and down, and I think that this is going to help other people because it shows that you're not alone in that journey and the ups and downs are part of it. Just wanted to thank you for opening up and thank you for your time today.
Yeah. No, and I would say to anybody else who's going through this out there is just like, be patient with yourself and show yourself the same kind of patience and compassion that you would show a stranger. Like, for me, I'm definitely more patient towards other people. Like, I once I was able to quit drinking, I had a friend who basically had her life ruined by alcohol. She got evicted from her apartment. She got fired from the last two jobs because of it. Ended up getting evicted from her apartment, and I was calling her every day, just like trying to help her through it. And I kind of think that's also part of it. Once you're able to get out of it and get through it, I think it's kind of like our duty to help other people. It's like, once you learn the path out of the forest, you got to go back and help other people learn how to get out of it.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Heck
And
yeah.
and
Yeah. As soon
also,
as you could stabilize yourself, it's like stabilize yourself, get your mask on, right? As they say, and then
mhm,
you can start
mhm,
reaching out. That's kind that you did that.
exactly. Exactly. And yeah, she just texted me the other day. She's like 50 days sober. And
Woohoo.
yeah, but it also helps you stay sober when you're helping other people get sober. It really does.
Yes, it
It really
does.
does.
You talk to other people and you remember, "Oh, that was me last month, last year, last week. Oh, that person,
Yeah,
that's me next. I'm next in line." Like, we're on the path, just little dots moving forward together. So, well, is there anything else you'd like to
absolutely.
share before you go, or any advice? Any advice you'd like to share with anyone trying to quit before you go?
Again, I would just say, be patient with yourself. Be patient. Show yourself the same love and compassion and patience that you would show a stranger, because it's not easy. And being hard on yourself is just kind of self-defeating. It's just gonna produce negative results. You just gotta be patient and love yourself. And the other thing is, just know that it will get better. It really does. Like, it doesn't feel like it, doesn't seem like it is going to get any better. It doesn't seem like the situation is ever going to go away, but it does. And then once it does, like, I refer to it as addiction amnesia. Like, thinking back on where I was in January and February of this year, it seems like I'm talking about another person. Like, I it doesn't even feel like it was me. And it's almost like embarrassing for me to think about. Like, I'm like, I can't believe I wasn't getting out of bed most days. I can't believe like I wasn't showering. but
Yeah.
but it does get better, and your life will move on and things will get better, and 6 months or a year from now you won't even remember it. You won't.
Yeah. Yeah. Shame is part of it. It's not something that should have to feel ashamed of, but it does happen. It's like this isn't something that anyone chooses. Like you said before, shame happens, but yeah, be nice to yourself because you didn't want to do that and no one wants to have to do that. And yeah, you will get through things. Again, thank you for your time and thank you everyone for listening to the Kratom Sobriety podcast. If you would like to be on this show, please reach out to us. We're always looking to talk to folks about their journey and stay kratom free.